So, tell me something terrible.
Who the hell is Kirk Gibson?
Oh, my science. Kirk Gibson is the baseball player who announces for the Tigers.
Okay.
He's super famous. Hit a home run for the Dodgers.
Sure.
Wow. I feel like oddly disappointed right now.
You shouldn't. I try my hardest. I know who Miggy is. I know who Justin Verlander is. When you mention who your favorite new baseball player is, I recognize that name.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Kirk Gibson's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I just thought maybe you'd know him.
No.
He's the only one with Parkinson's that announced. And anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oof.
Aren't you glad you're still married to me?
Orangey glad. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You want to start the actual thing we're doing here?
Yeah.
And not me just being disappointed in your baseball knowledge or lack thereof.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Whoa. Okay. This guy, Scott. In case you couldn't tell us apart. Can you imagine if people couldn't tell us apart?
I mean, I know I have a deep voice, but that would be awful.
Yeah, but it's not like you have a deep voice and I have a high voice. That would probably be complicated.
Yeah.
We both have deep voices. I suggest you speak in a lower register.
No.
If you get that Big Bang Theory reference, you are a super nerd.
Yeah. Oh, look at us just really branching out from Harry Potter and Schitt's Creek to Big Bang now.
I mean, those are kind of the three entities, that and Boondock Saints, that kind of like, that's the foundation of relationships. No, not as important. I mean, our cats are named after it, but like those 3 or 4, whatever we got to, that's like what our relationship started, like DVDs, late nights, pizza rolls.
Not even Blu-ray DVDs, like DVDs.
Yeah, we didn't have a Blu-ray player. Why would we own Blu-rays? Stupid Xbox 360.
We decided they're going to do aged. It doesn't matter. We've already gone off the rails, and this one's going to be long.
Yep.
So
if you listen to Tuesday, this is a continuation of sorts.
It's just along the same theme of the Pacific Crest Trail. Should have Googled to confirm who was, if the Pacific Coast Trail
you already
existed.
did the Google. I think it was referred to as the PCT, and I assumed that meant coast.
Right. Nope. It's Crest.
Like toothpaste.
Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you ready to get started? This one's
What
true.
if I was like, no.
All right. Well, we'd have to have a chat.
No, I'm
off air.
No, my wine glass is full, and it's
Sunny out still a little bit.
what? It's almost 9 o'clock. It's not sunny out. It's just not dark.
It's close enough.
We got an early start.
We
Look
did.
at us go.
Oh, we're so old.
Yep. Yeah. It's not that we wanted to start early. It's I want to be in bed early.
Yes. So the only thing that's really similar is a temporary disappointment, a temporary disappearance, and all of this took place on the same trail. So when I was doing the initial research for the last one, I was like, oh, a kidnap. I'll copy and paste this article, and then I'll go through everything. And then I started reading it and went, holy shit, this is insane.
Bananas, as Gwen Stefani would say.
Bananas.
Why are you whispering?
I don't know.
You can sing full loud.
No, I cannot.
Nobody cares.
Nah.
Grip it and rip it, as John Daly says.
No, thank you. Shut that down right now.
I'm getting as many sports references in this episode as I can.
Clearly. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm also going to start this one out a little bit differently. I'm going to mention that all of this is alleged. All of it is alleged.
Okay.
So, the man in this episode has never been pressed with any charges for anything and was only arrested and kept overnight because the police didn't have enough evidence to hold him. So I'm going to get all of my allegeds out now so I don't have to keep saying it over and over and over again throughout the next half hour or 40 minutes.
I bet you she says it at least 3 more times. We'll keep track.
At least, yeah.
We'll keep track, guys.
Take a shot, guys. So he allegedly kidnapped Kira
I don't
Moon.
think people have turned this into a drinking game.
They should.
No.
Okay. So he allegedly kidnapped Kira Moon. He allegedly raped Kira Moon.
I feel like you're just rushing through these important
Nope.
details.
I will flesh the details out. I have 6 pages of it.
Flesh them out?
Yes.
Flush them out.
Yep. So, no, it's flesh.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You seem uncertain now.
Now, yes. When anybody calls me into question I'm certain of everything that I go through life, and then someone checks me, and I'm like, you're right. I am most likely wrong.
The worst part is we've both used that expression to each other, and because we mumble and like swallow so many vowels, I don't know which one either of us has said. Like, I know we both have said our own ways, and we both just assume the other one was right.
I've always said flesh.
I've always said flushed.
Oh, shit.
I assume you're correct, because usually I'm not.
No, we should take a pause from the cause and Google it.
No, you keep pressing on, I'll Google it.
Okay.
Well, how do I even Google that?
I don't know.
I'm going to leave the vowel out and see what it autocorrects it to. FLSHED, the details.
So he allegedly kidnapped Kira Moon.
Sorry, it autocorrected to flush the fetus. I swear to God it did. Because I typed the wrong, I hit F instead.
Oh God, this might be another deep dive of the this is going.
Okay. Showing results. Okay, I put FLSHED, the details. And it said showing results for flushed out the details, but it says to flesh out something like plan or an idea is to expand it, give substance, or provide a more detailed explanation.
Right, because
hold on. To flush out means to force someone or something out of hiding or to clean something. So to like flush someone out of a building into... So your idea, flesh out is correct.
Yes.
Flush out is a different term that I just smushed together because I grew up in an uneducated household. And whatever you do not flush the... Seriously, what has been Googled on my phone? That if you type one F after flushed, it autofills to fetus.
I don't know. Should we really? Maybe we should start going back like to counseling.
Yeah, something.
Chat about your Google search history.
Yeah.
So anyway, he allegedly kidnapped Kira Moon, who's our victim. Mm-hmm. He allegedly raped and beat her. She
sounds like an anime character, by the way. I feel like.
No.
That's just Sailor Moon's fault.
Yes. So he allegedly raped and beat her. He also allegedly has a pattern and has allegedly done similar things to other women.
There's like 6 more allegedlys in the first paragraph, so.
Yes. Because he has not been pressed with a single charge.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting itchy. It's the gluten. So I'm going to do sources a little backwards too. I wanted to give credit to this amazing and very well researched article. It's from backpacker.com, it's called Kidnapped on the Pacific Crest Trail, written by Bill Donahue. It was legit like 8 pages long once I printed it off. And I didn't want to have a single source story, so I was like, I'll look up some more sources. And all I did was just corroborate everything that he'd already written. Gotcha. So I found the unsolved mysteries stories that he'd mentioned, a detailed timeline with witnesses that had quotes. He did interviews personally with witnesses and with Kira before she passed away. I found an article about the fire I'll get to it. And then all of this guy's...
Spoiler alert.
Yes. And then all of this guy's arrest warrants and a myriad of other sightings and other encounters of people along this trail on Reddit. So I figured, why waste the paper? This guy already did everything. So now I wound up with a mostly single-sourced but well-corroborated story. So.
Have you said the suspect's name yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
The alleged suspect. Sorry, I got to get my alleged in there.
Yep. So let's get started. Kira Moon had
Let's go. Sorry.
So Kira Moon had just recovered from an addiction to opioids brought on by a sudden back, chest, and leg injury from a previous job back in 2007.
Back, chest, and leg injury?
Yeah. Like
that's all of the injuries.
She worked someplace like not an art studio, but where there's a lot of sculpting and stuff. And she would move hunks of like stone and metal and stuff. And so one day she went to go pick up something and literally everything on the one side went numb. Paralyzed, tingling, burning, super like
pinched nerve from hell.
Yeah, and the doctors couldn't figure it out. So they were like, here's some opioids. Get better.
Get addicted.
Yeah, and then she went to another doctor who was like, no, we're done with the opioids. So she was forced to go through withdrawal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what led up to this point. She had her injury. is now getting over her addiction.
And this was like her big, like, probably the goal she had in mind to get over everything else.
So she spent years struggling and finally worked her way to a normal life, but still felt restless. So she decided to pack everything up and travel northbound from Campo, California, up the Pacific Crest Trail. Kira thought that the trail would lead her to a new life. Quote, "I'd done this before, gone out on God's little fingertip, and dared him to flick me away. I was ready to take a risk."
Like a booger? Sorry.
Like a bug.
Nope.
She's the victim.
That's fine. Just her analogy. That's straight where my brain went.
Yep. So her, quote, unson, which is a boy that she'd helped raise when she was in a relationship with a woman in the 1980s, Kira was transgendered. So she had this relationship with a woman.
What'd you call him? Unson?
Unson. Like unson. Because he's not her son, but she raised him as a son. So she was transgendered and she underwent surgery when she was 20. So she's got like a convoluted background. This was the son of the woman that she was in a romantic relationship with, but she remained close with this kid, as he grew up. So, so his name is Jason Storm. So he thought she was crazy for wanting to attempt the hike, but he supported her nonetheless and helped raise funds to get Kira hiking supplies.
Were their real last names Moon and Storm?
No.
Okay.
That's her. Jason Storm's last name was Storm. Kira Moon is her new name because she left her dead name behind.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kira Moon is her chosen name.
Okay.
Yep. So Kira
They just sounded very, like, too similar and almost, like, made-uppy.
No. It's definitely, hers was a little made-uppy, but his is definitely not.
Okay.
So Kira had little experience. The only experience that she did have was from the frequent 10-mile round-trip hikes that she made from her home to the summit of San Bruno Mountains, which has an elevation of 1,319 feet. So as she traveled, fellow thru hikers would join her on her journey, according to several trail angels, which are people that go out of their ways to make life better for the hikers through either guidance, providing shelter, leaving coolers of cold water. They told those trail angels made sure to find other trail hikers and through hikers, and told other fellow hikers and in the through hiker circuit that they needed to keep an eye out for Kira because she looked frail and ill prepared and that she's gonna kill herself.
Okay.
Yeah. She's tiny. She's not tiny. She's tall and very thin.
So like me.
Yes, exactly like you. Yeah. So
this is a guy who wore husky jeans as a teenager.
So 10 days into her trip or so, she made it to Julian, California, and here she stopped to gain some strength and work a little. There was a Mexican restaurant called Carmen's Garden that employs passing through hikers. This is where she met James William Parrillo.
Dun, dun, dun. If you've seen The Croods, that's funny, too. The sloth.
He introduced himself as Jay Cirillo, and so the J...
Cirillo.
Yeah,
That sounds familiar.
Jason's
Jay
Cirillo?
Maybe. Jay Cirillo.
So James told Kira that he was a retired Navy SEAL and that he worked as a deep sea diver in Greenpeace. And he was also killing some time hiking in the PCT while he was waiting for his $4.5 million check from the sale of his mansion in Santa Cruz to get out of escrow.
Mm-hmm.
Far-fetched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Should be sus.
Heavily.
Yes. But it's California. You never know. It could happen.
No, I think you know.
Yeah.
How's a seal have...
They don't mention it. Like, seals,
okay, but
don't mention that there's seals very often.
Okay, I just want to know. You would be like, oh, how'd you get a $4.5 million mansion and now you're working in a restaurant too? Was he working in the restaurant
too?
He was
hiking. Yeah, he was on the trails and they met in the restaurant. Working. Because that's where a lot of thru hikers would stop and gain some money so they can get
All
supplies.
I've learned from this podcast is don't trust random dudes at restaurants.
Good choice.
/
Anywhere.
The MFM book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The photographer.
Yep.
So this dude was actually a psychopath, allegedly.
I thought we were going to talk about another wholesome individual.
So he was biding his time in Julian because he had injured himself in a storm a few days past. And if...
A Jason storm? Sorry. I'll stop now.
And if Kira was willing to wait just a few more days for his ribs to heal, they could get back to the trail together. She even told her unson, James's girlfriend, her name is Brandy, Valenza? Brandy Valenza. Valenza. There's no I in it.
Well, then it's wrong.
That she had joined the Cougar Club because she was like 15 or 20 years older than this guy.
Okay.
So, but a nut. It was stuck in my throat.
Pistachio.
Yes.
But you pervs.
But unbeknownst to Kira, Parrillo is a dangerous man, allegedly. And she is not the first woman that he has lied to. So I looked up this guy's timeline. It's super messy. Multiple arrests and releases, like 4 or 5 in a year at one point.
The old catch and release program?
Yes.
Like
and he was
good fisherman.
Yeah, he has only gone to jail twice somehow. So in 1986, he fettered away some woman whose only identifier was CA.
Fettered?
Yeah, like kidnapped her. But he didn't like kidnap her. He was like, come with me. I'm going to be an asshole after you come with me.
A persuasive kidnapping.
Yes.
Also known as a fettering now.
Yep. So the only identifier on this timeline that I found was CA. So he'd wound up
Carolina?
Fuck off. So he had fathered a child with her, and she managed to escape back to her family. Later, in like 1988-ish, he married a Mila Star Salmon. I think that was the name of this woman.
Mila Star Salmon.
Yeah, it literally doesn't matter because...
It kind of matters. That's a pretty sweet name.
No, there are so many women that it literally does not matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So there was a bunch of women. So that marriage was annulled a few years later because he'd pretty much kidnapped her as well. He met Mila while she was interning as a youth minister, and he posed as a refugee from the mafia. Asked her for a ride to the airport, but he somehow convinced her that the mafia was chasing them and that they needed to get married to protect her.
Protect her?
Her.
Nice.
Yep. So, and then he raped her, allegedly. And he stole her personal contact book and her checkbooks, begged for money from her family, and moved from place to place around the U.S. over the course of the next 3 years. He told her that if she ran away, he would hunt her down and kill her and her entire family.
Sounds like a nice guy.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So then Unsolved Mysteries gets involved at this point. In 1993, an episode aired covering the kidnapping of Valeria Eric. At the time, Parrillo's alias was Tony DeCampo. So Tony arrived at a truck stop the week before Christmas in 1993 in Ocala, Florida. So he met Val, who was a clerk at this truck stop, and convinced her through writing notes that he was a deaf mute and it was an injury caused by an injury in the Gulf War. So he was stranded in Florida until he could get his truck fixed. They grew fond of each other, and then he asked if she would marry him. She refused. Smart. But she did allow him to crash at her house until his truck was repaired. So eventually, Tony convinced Val that her mother and his father was in a... Yeah, eventually, Tony convinced Val and Val's mother that Tony's father was in the mafia, and he was a kingpin, and was pressuring Parrillo to join the ranks, but he refused.
So Tony's now Jay Parrillo. Okay.
James has over 13 aliases.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this story, with this
Tony.
interaction, his name is Tony.
Okay.
Yep. So the pair was skeptical, but all that no longer mattered because the day after Christmas, Parrillo fell out of bed and injured his head, and then suddenly his hearing and speech came back miraculously.
Oh my goodness, that's a Christmas miracle.
Yes. So after that, the mafia took a hit out on Tony, and they were in danger. Within minutes, he ushered Mary, Val, and Val's 3 children out of the house on a wild adventure in Val's mom's brand new Camaro.
Oh, just tearing through the streets?
Yep. So all across Florida, in and out of motels, forcing Val to withdraw money. Tony just needed to keep them safe and moving around. Using Val's money was the only way to do it. So eventually, Mary's husband tracked them down and started following them. Tony decided to ditch Mary and her kids and told Val that the mafia had kidnapped them. Next, according to Val, she was dragged across 6 different states over 2,000 miles and 2 months. All the while, Tony would flip between kind and cruel, beating her severely, raping her, and forced her to steal. On April 11th, she finally escaped, and she called home from a hotel and realized that her family was safe, and it was finally dawned on her that Tony had been lying the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah. So she then ran away back home from the hotel, and she filed charges, but by the time the police came looking for Tony, he was gone.
And had a different name. And
Yep. So next, he tried to play a similar card with a nurse in Daytona, Florida, the following year.
The deaf-mute thing again?
The mafia thing again.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All that writing would get tedious.
Yeah, no, I told you, it's confusing as fuck.
And what if you sneeze? Do deaf-mute people make noises when they sneeze? This is a legitimate question.
I would imagine.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a
I don't
involuntary.
I'm asking questions because I don't know the answers.
Someone that's listening as a deaf mute, tell us.
You think they're listening? That's a dick move. Good job.
That was a really bad joke.
You offended people that can't listen.
Oh, no.
You should feel terrible.
I should.
There's an option that we can do transcripts for this.
Maybe not.
It costs money.
Yes.
Or we could do it ourselves. Both not going to happen.
No. So this motherfucker walked into the ER.
This motherfucker right here.
Claiming that he had tried to kill himself with anti-seizure pills. So this poor nurse, it was her first patient ever.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Beginner's luck, they say.
Yeah. So she was deceived by him and his good looks. She remembered him as, quote, incredibly attractive and intelligent. He asked the nurse for a ride to Orlando, and she said yes. The two were then engaged in a high-speed chase running from the Navy.
I thought you were going to say they were engaged, like, to be married.
No. He asked. She said no.
He asks a lot. He
does. He's fucking crazy.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take,
yep.
he says.
Or
he writes.
So they
depending on his scheme.
So these two were then engaged in a high-speed chase running from the Navy because Parrillo was wanted by the Navy police for going AWOL.
Those Navy police always just busting down the streets
yep.
looking for random guys.
Yep. So the nurse escaped after 3 days, telling him, if the Navy really is after us, we need to escape to the Caymans. So go steal a boat. So the motherfucker did.
And she's like, bye.
Yes.
Have fun on your boat.
So this is where he was arrested for the first time. The next morning, Parrillo, armed with a .38 caliber pistol, boarded a yacht in Fort Lauderdale and held 9 people at gunpoint during a 4-hour standoff with the police. Luckily, no one was hurt. Later, Parrillo pleaded insanity.
Parrillo.
Yeah, Lady Parrillo pleaded insanity, and all charges were dropped.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a white dude, isn't it?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. A 6'1", like, charming,
dreamy.
Yes. Yeah. So then came all the catch and releases that were in this convoluted timeline. And he eventually was charged with substance abuse in 1998, was given 20 months in prison with 3 years parole, but it sounds like it wound up just being the parole that he served. So he was charged with the parole violation in 1999, and it just keeps going. Warrants, bookings, releases, violations, court hearings, January, February, June, July, September of 2000, just over and over and over again. So then in 2002, he was arrested and convicted for helping another woman kidnap her 3 children from their father. He was sentenced. He's a kidnapping expert anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So he was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and Parrillo has been accused by at least 7 different women of abuse and rape.
Good.
Yep.
Glad he's just out and about.
Yep. And eventually, he made his way to the Pacific Crest Trail and to Kira Moon. Did I tell you what year this kidnapping happened?
Oh, you may have, but you've thrown a lot of data at me.
2018.
Oh, hey, that was like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I realize now I might not have actually ever said the year that it actually.
And because it's all alleged, he's probably still like not charged for it. Even though he should be charged for 1 million things in the last 30 years.
Just wait.
Just you wait.
So finally, after waiting a week for Parrillo's injury to heal, the pair set off together. Remember, because he broke his ribs, punctured a lung, because he literally fell off of a mountain during a windstorm.
Oh, I thought he fell out of a bed and that's how he got his hearing back.
Yeah, that was a different story. So Kira was excited to have a hiking partner that she got along so well with. She posted a photo of him to her Facebook page. Parrillo lost his shit. At a remote campsite, he screamed at her for hours, accusing her.
Accusing
her. That was not a transgender thing. That was me being a fat thumbs typo. There's a lot going on. So he accused her for hours, he screamed at her for hours, accusing her of blowing his cover. He was gay. He came to hike the PCT to lose all of these people that were chasing after him. The Navy because he lied about his sexual orientation. The media because of the rumor floating around that he was Caitlyn Jenner's lover. How could she tip everyone off like that? Kira was ruining his life. Parrillo made Kira look at him square in the eyes during this entire tirade.
Psycho.
Yes. So she tried to stay cool and unruffled during the entire scream fest. And, quote, she said that he yelled at her and said, "How could she put a black mark on my entire family? I can't go back to them because of you."
Because of a selfie?
Because now everybody knows what he's doing and that he's running from the law and that he's gay and his family won't accept him because of it.
He's on the Pacific Coast Trail. He's not running from the law.
Yeah. Nope.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
She should have kicked him down the mountain Sparta style.
Yeah, but she's tiny.
You said she was tall?
She's tall, but
she's got long legs.
And she's recovering.
One kick.
So anyway, they continued their travels through only the southern bit of the PCT. So they were bouncing back and forth between personal lodgings of trail angels and towns, between Julian, Idlewild, Warner Springs, and other small towns in the area. It was enough to raise some red flags and generate a lot of witnesses. They stayed for a second time at a home in Idlewild while Kira was healing. And because at some point soon into their travels, Parrillo had started beating her. So when this happened, he always tried to keep Kira at a distance when meeting other hikers, so it wasn't obvious that she had bruised eyes and marks on her face. One beating escalated so badly that he broke Kira's ribs. And then he raped her on the reg and forced her to give him oral sex.
Real pleasant human being.
Yes. So she was beaten and Leary captive, and she feared for her life. Many hikers later said that they assumed she was a grown woman, so she could leave if she wanted to. The problem is that she was alone in the wilderness and was a poor navigator, having gotten lost in her early travels and had to stay the night in a restroom off the trails until she could find her way back to her campsite in the morning.
So she was afraid she would, die if she tried to leave him?
Yeah, or he would literally hunt her down and kill her.
Because he's that big of a piece of shit?
Yeah. So rumors and details getting mixed up started to arise in the trail circles. He was a former military medic, allegedly, a selfless hero, and he fell behind in his travels because he was too busy taking care of other hikers in need. He gained the trail name Medic. And in case you care, her trail name was Steel because she had steel mesh shoes. So people would call her Steel or Steel Magnolias.
Aw,
yeah.
Steel mesh shoes?
Yeah. Yeah, instead of cotton mesh shoes and stuff like that, they were more like the metal steel mesh for hiking.
Huh.
Yeah. So not everyone bought his bullshit, though. Parrillo boasted that he hiked southbound from Canada in February to a fellow hiker named Leonards, who called him out. Because you're not going to hike from Canada in February.
No, it's pretty chilly.
Yeah. Well, we already knew from the last episode, people die.
Yeah. People just go missing.
Yep. So Parrillo then stood up and started screaming at him. Leonards was shocked by how domineering Parrillo was. At one point in early August, they came across a fire in Mountain Center, California, because they never left Southern California.
Yeah.
For 5 months.
They just went back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So Parrillo seemed to flourish, passing out water and water to the fire. Wow, I put water to water victims. Definitely not.
That seems insensitive.
Yeah, definitely water to fire victims. He cleaned bathrooms at this cafe that acted as the impromptu fire center, informing the owner, who was away, of all of the updates. He drove into the fire zone to aid rescues, watched over a burned horse for a vet that was attending other animals. He went to Starbucks. He went on Starbucks runs and brought back donuts for the police officers. And he had everyone fooled, which is why Kira never spoke up. Who were they going to believe? This godsend of a man, or Kira, an ex-drug addict transgendered woman?
Yeah, she's kind of had the deck stacked against her.
Yeah. So some witnesses still think that she's been playing the victim. You gonna make it?
Yeah, I'm good.
But none of this fooled Kira's unson and his girlfriend, Brandy. Brandy was getting super sus. Earlier in the trip, Parrillo had made Kira call Jason and Brandy and tell them about this man she'd met on the trail who could help them with their financial troubles. So just wait for his money to come through his escrow and that he will get them a check for $100,000. And then they heard less and less from Kira, and when she did write them, the notes were rude and short, telling them that they never wanted anything to do with her anyway, pushing her only family farther and farther away. So Brandy started doing some digging, the girlfriend. A lot of digging, searching his name in a criminal database, talked to Parrillo's relatives, and slowly pieced together his past. And then Brandy found the unsolved mystery episode about Tony DeCampo. In mid-August, which is 5 months after Kira had set out, partnered with Parrillo, and a month since Jason and Brandy had heard from her, Brandy started a Facebook page named Find Kira Moon. Brandy also tirelessly created her own timeline for Parrillo. So it's unclear if Parrillo knew of Brandy's social media campaign against him, but coincidentally, on August 13th, Parrillo complained of a leg injury that had swelled real bad, and together Kira and Parrillo fled the PCT. The pair took a series of buses west toward California's coastline, with Parrillo desperately changing his plans daily. No longer hiking, they would spend days hiding out behind an abandoned gas station in the woods that was near there. So according to according to Kira, he would spend all day, quote, looking at porn and talk about how he hated everyone. She said, quote, the worst part of the whole experience wasn't being beaten. It was being in his presence all the time.
She just was sick of him.
Yeah.
She's like, beat me. Just go the fuck away.
Yes.
Yeah.
So eventually Kira learned to present herself as a meek, gullible person so that she could make Parrillo feel as though she was trustworthy. Eventually, this dedication paid off. Parrillo began to leave her alone when he made supply runs to the grocery stores. Parrillo started to talk of leaving the country, and so Kira was getting desperate. Finally, she got brave and started looking for a way out. On September 21st, the two parked outside a Starbucks where Parrillo left Kira bloodied and bruised to make a grocery run. She timed him. 8 minutes. 5 days later, on September 26th, Parrillo took Kira back to the same grocery store, and she knew she had 8 minutes to get to her freedom. She ran to an urgent care center within sight and bolted inside. Using the desk phone, she called the Morro Bay police, who managed to arrive in time to arrest Parrillo inside the grocery store. In an hour, Kira had gotten x-rays validating her broken ribs from when he beat her so badly. Mm-hmm. She wrote a note to Jason and Brandy asking for forgiveness, informing them of her captivity and that her previous notes were dictated by Parrillo, who was a vicious man trying to separate her from her family. Kira made it out alive and home, and she still had nightmares after. Kira moved in with her sister in a small trailer because she was fully broke, Parrillo draining her savings account. On February 7th, 2019, Kira died in an electrical fire. Brandy blames it all on Parrillo, saying that she never would have been in the trailer in the first place if it wasn't for her meeting him. Mm-hmm. And then James Parrillo is still wandering about the PCT. Still.
Really?
Yeah.
How did he? I thought he got arrested.
No. They didn't have enough evidence to keep him. They had nothing. So they kept him overnight and had to release him.
Awesome.
Yeah. So he spent only one night in Morro Bay jail. Like I said, not enough evidence. So when doing other research, I found a thread on Reddit warning other hikers of this man. As of a month ago, from when we were recording this episode right now, he had been spotted on the trails and warnings were going up all over the place on Facebook pages, Facebook groups, multiple Reddit threads, on the missing of PCT website from the last episode. And he was even met by Arizona trail authorities and escorted to the state line. He was telling people that he was a southbound thru hiker making his way down from Washington and that he has cancer. So as of 2 weeks ago, 14 days ago, locals were reporting him in Campo, California, and according to the people of Reddit.
De Campo? Wonder where he came up with that name.
Yeah, I wonder. So, allegedly, he very recently has been camping at the trailhead, like in that area around Campo, California, which is where the trail starts.
Just looking for another victim?
Yep. Allegedly.
Let's go to California.
That sounds like a great idea.
You and your hair.
Mm-hmm.
You'll attract him. Then we get him.
No, maybe. I'd have to look a lot more sad and pathetic.
We'll just fill you full of gluten.
I'm in so much pain. Help me. So yeah, the sources of this article were from the Backpackers article I mentioned earlier, Unsolved Mysteries, Reddit, the Sun Sentinel, www.snowbrains.com, timetoast.com, and localcrimesnews.com.
So the only thing I think worse than like an unsolved crime is where it's solved, but the victim died.
Allegedly solved.
The victim died unrelated, and
she could never press charges.
And the douchebag who did it all,
allegedly,
is still just free as a bird.
Yeah.
Still doing his thing.
Literally recently.
Yeah.
There has been sightings of him.
Like earlier in April.
Yeah.
Of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep.
That's worse. I would just wish we would have had no idea who did it.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. I just thought I'd mention that for anybody that's out in California. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Don't go doing the PCT just all by yourself.
No.
And link up with random creepy strangers.
Most of the time, the random strangers are people that you hike with for days. Like when she first started, there was somebody that I can't remember the name of him.
Yeah.
But she hiked with him for 10 days. Like everybody starts, the people that do it regularly all know each other.
Yeah. It's like a little like exclusive club.
It really is. So.
And then some guy like this has to go and ruin it.
Yep.
For everyone.
Yep. Can't pee in the pool, guys.
What?
Peeing in the pool ruins it for everybody.
Okay.
All right. Bad joke.
The worst.
Yep. So do you see why Tuesday's episode was a shorty?
Because the pee in the pool joke?
Yes, exclusively
No,
because of the pee in the pool joke.
Yeah, because it was the preamble to this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have put it all together. It just would have been super long.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is... I still hate unsolved ones more, probably. But this sucks, too.
Yeah.
This is equally terrible, but I guess that's what we're here for.
And hopefully something happens that it has enough.
Hopefully he'll be our next. He'll be our
together.
next disappearance unsolved.
Yeah.
On the trail.
Like, oh, James Parrillo, he disappeared somehow. There was blood all over his tent, and no one's seen him since.
Right.
What a bummer.
But if you made it this far, and I'm going to combine these two, like in my mind. Anyway, we recorded them all within like an hour.
Yep.
But congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're the real MVP.
Yep.
What was that noise?
It sounded like a gunshot.
It definitely sounded like a gunshot. Okay, we're going to go investigate a murder that might have happened on our property.
Nah, whatever. We're in the country. There's gunshots all the time.
Our dumb dog didn't make a sound.
She's useless.
And it sounded like a gunshot went off like 200 feet from our house. All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.